Hello and welcome to Daily News Simplified, an answer to what, why, and how of newspaper reading. Today we will discuss the articles displayed on the screen from the daily edition of the Hindu newspaper dated 9th February 2019. So let us start our discussion for the day. The lead article on page number 6 is related to the data related to unemployment, which has been released by the Center for Monitoring India Economy. And it basically throws light on the unemployment scenario in case of India. So this is an important article from our mains examination point of view under the syllabus of General Studies paper 3, and it is mainly related to employment under the paper 3. Now if you go through the previous year questions of the mains examination, you will find that there were two questions in the year 2015 and 2014 in the paper 3, and both of these were related to the employment scenario in India. The question that was asked in 2015 was related to a famous concept known as jobless growth in India's case. And further, the question that was asked in 2014 was related to India's growing demographic dividend. However, it highlights the dropping rates of employability. So in this article, the author has highlighted that India is a signatory of the Special Data Dissemination Standards, or the SDDS, of the International Monetary Fund. And these SDDS standards have been introduced in order to help the countries to access the international capital markets. Now, under these SDDS standards, the measurement of monthly employment rate is required. And in India's case, India complies with many requirements of these standards. However, it has taken exception with respect to the measurement of unemployment. So, India is not going through this requirement, that is the provision of providing or measuring the monthly unemployment rate. So besides this requirement, India is complying with other standards under the SDDS of IMF. Now in this regard, a private sector entity by the name Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, or the CMIE, has been carrying out Consumer Pyramid Household Survey, or the CPHS. And the author has highlighted that the methodology which is used under the CPHS survey of the CMIE is much better as compared to that of NSSO, or the National Sample Survey Organization. The author has further highlighted the methodology which is used by the CMEI under its Consumer Pyramids Household Survey and the methodology of NSSO. However, this methodology is not important for us from exam point of view. So in this article, we will try to understand certain key concepts related to employment and unemployment. And further, we will look at the findings of the report of CMIE. So before going through this article, you need to understand certain key economic concepts. The first in this line is the labor force, or the definition of labor force. So under labor force, all the people are included who are presently employed or are searching for jobs. So this means that it includes both the employed and the unemployed in an economy. However, the workforce represents only those people who are presently under employment. So now the unemployment rate is calculated by dividing the number of unemployed people by the labor force. That is, all those people who are either employed or are unemployed. And this fraction is multiplied by 100. Now as you know that the number of unemployment is equal to the labor force minus the workforce. This is because it includes both the unemployed as well as the unemployed, or the people who are looking for job. However, the workforce only reflects the number of people who are employed in an economy. So basically, the unemployment rate is the number of unemployed people divided by the total labor force into 100. Further, the labor force participation rate reflects the labor force divided by the people under working age population into 100. Now, the working age population reflects all those people who are under the age of 15 to 64. And those people below the age of 15 years or greater than the age of 64 are known as dependents in an economy. So this means that the labor force includes those people who are either employed or are searching for jobs. However, the working age population represents the eligible people for employment. So in this age group, that is the working age population, many people are not looking for jobs. So now let us understand the key observations of the report of CMIE in this regard. Now the report observes that the labor force participation in India is considered to be lower as compared to that of other countries. So in this regard, the labor force participation rate in India in 2016 was around 47%. However, it was 66% for the world. So this means that the labor force participation rate for India is lower as compared to that of world. Further, due to demonetization, the labor force participation rate declined to around 45%. And this shows that about 13 million people moved out of the labor markets. Now, how this decline in labor force participation rate happened after the demonetization? Now, as we know that the labor force participation rate is equal to the labor force divided by the working age population multiplied by 100. Now, in this case, we know that the labor force includes all those people who are either employed or are searching for jobs. Now, what happened after demonetization is that people who were searching for jobs or were unemployed stopped looking for jobs. And due to this, the labor force reduced considerably. Now, as the labor force reduced, the labor force participation rate also decreased. So now a key question that arises is that why did the people who were searching for jobs stop looking for jobs further after demonetization? So in this line, the author has highlighted that after demonetization, the labor market was badly hit. And due to this, those people who were either unemployed or were searching for jobs stopped looking for jobs altogether. In short, this means that all those people who were searching for jobs lost the hope of finding jobs in the aftermath of demonetization. And we know that as more and more people who are searching for jobs left the labor market, the unemployment rate also fell and the labor force participation rate also decreased. Now, if you notice the formula of unemployment rate, we notice that it is basically the unemployed or the people who are searching for jobs divided by the total labor force. Now, here we note that as the number of people who are searching for jobs decreased after the demonetization, the unemployment rate also decreased. So what this shows is that the unemployment rate has not decreased because the number of jobs have increased in the economy. However, it has decreased because the number of people who are searching for jobs stopped looking for jobs after demonetization. Further, the report also highlights about the female labor force participation rate. And in this regard, the report has observed that India's female labor force participation rate is very low as compared to that of world average. It has further highlighted the reasons for this lower labor force participation rate of women. The first reason for the lower LFPR for women is that there has been increase in the household incomes. And that is why the need for women to work has reduced. And due to this, most families consider that it is not important for women to work because the household incomes have already increased. The second is that there has been increased enrollment in higher education by women. And due to this enrollment in higher education, the women are not entering into the labor force or are not searching for jobs. The third important reason is that there are cultural and security factors. And these factors keep the women away from the labor force market. This is because in many parts of India, the women are not allowed to work. Further, there are security concerns for working women. And that is why most of the families do not allow the women to work. And finally, there is bias of employers against hiring women, which means that most of the employers are not willing to hire women for their work. And for this bias, many reasons are attributed. The most important ones being the leaves that women avail during the times of pregnancy. And this reduces the productivity for employers. So that is why most of the employers are not willing to hire women. And these are the reasons why the female labor force participation rate is low in India. Now, another important observation is that all those women who are looking for employment find it really difficult to get jobs as compared to that of men. And this is reflected in the unemployment rate. For example, the unemployment rate for men was around 4.93 in 2018. However, the unemployment rate was much more higher, that is around 14.9% for women. This is because the women who enter the labor force or are searching for jobs do not find jobs and find it really difficult to get jobs as compared to that of men. So finally concluding, the author says that the participation of women in the labor force market is of utmost importance for India. And this is especially important for India because India has this demographic dividend opportunity. However, this window of opportunity is open only till 2030. So the focus of the government should be on creating conditions which are favorable for the entry of women in the labor market. Now, after going through the points that we have discussed in this article, you should try and answer this question from your mains examination point of view. And with this, let us move on to the next article. Now, this article on page number 5 is related to a conservation plan for the lions of Gujarat. or the conservation of Asiatic lion. And this conservation plan has been brought out by the central government and the Gujarat government combinedly. Now, as we know that recently, large number of deaths of Asiatic lions was reported from Gujarat's Gir National Park. It is in this line that this conservation plan has been formulated by Centre and the Gujarat government. Now, this forms an important part of the preliminary examination syllabus under the topic biodiversity. And if you go through the prelims examination paper of 2017, there was a question related to a proposal to translocate lions from their natural habitat in Gujarat too. So in this article, we will try to understand what are the key details of this conservation plan. And secondly, we will try to understand the issue of translocation of lions from Gujarat. Now, the first point that should be noted is that the allocation under this conservation plan is about 98 crore rupees. And this is a combined conservation plan of the central government and the Gujarat government. Now, what are the key diseases that the lions suffer from? So, the names of these diseases or the viruses that cause these diseases are important for us from preliminary examination point of view. So, first in this line is the rabies. The second is the canine distemper virus. And you should note that the recent deaths in the Gujarat's Gir National Park were because of this disease, which was spread due to canine distemper virus. The third is the canine parvovirus feline immunodeficiency virus, and the fourth is the feline leukemia virus. So the names of these viruses are important for us from preliminary examination point of view. Further, the current population of lions in 2015 was around 523, which has currently risen to around 600. Now, what are the key aspects of this conservation plan? So the key aspects of this conservation plan include a dedicated veterinary institute. So this will study about various diseases that affect the lions of Gujarat. Secondly, it has provisions for more water sources in the Gir National Park, so that during the summer season, when there is a scarcity of water, the life of lions does not get impacted. Thirdly, this has provisions of providing lion ambulances, so that the ill or the sick lions could be transported to a veterinary center. And fourthly, it also has provisions for a GPS-based tracking system of all the lions in the Gir National Park. Now, in this line, the Gujarat government has provided for a greater Gir National Park. And this will include, besides the Gir National Park, 4 other places for the conservation of lions. And this will include Gir Sanctuary, Pania Sanctuary, and Mitiala Sanctuary. So you should know all these names from your preliminary examination point of view. So all these sanctuaries besides the Gir National Park will be included in the Greater Gir for the conservation of Asiatic lion. And this has been provided by the Gujarat government. Now, after going through these aspects of this conservation project, let us try to understand the issue of translocation of lions from Gujarat Gir National Park. Now, translocation of these lions has been provided as a solution for their long-term conservation. So in this line, let us understand why is translocation of lions important. Now, you should note that when the lions live in a limited area or in only one national park, for example, in India's case, they are living in only Gir National Park, there are chances that the population can be eliminated during the instances of forest fires, by some diseases, or by calamities. So by diversifying their habitats, the chances of survival of lions can be increased. So in order to increase the long-term survival of the Asiatic lions, the translocation has been proposed as a solution. Now in 2013, a technical committee which was appointed by the Supreme Court for the conservation of Asiatic lions, it had suggested that the lions should be translocated from the Gujarat's Gir National Park to the Kuno Palpur Wildlife Sanctuary in Madhya Pradesh. And this sanctuary was identified because it was suitable for the reintroduction of species in its natural habitat, which means that the conditions in the Kuno Palpur Wildlife Sanctuary were similar to the one in the Gir National Park. However, despite the suggestions of the committee which was appointed by Supreme Court, there has been no progress in the translocation of Asiatic lions from Gir National Park to the Kuno Palpur Wildlife Sanctuary. So in this regard, the government's response is that a committee of experts has been created from both the states in examining the suitability of Madhya Pradesh as a potential lion reserve. The government is further arguing that it has to comply with certain guidelines of the IUCN, or the International Union for Conservation of Nature. And these guidelines relate to the selection of suitable habitat for translocation of lions. So although there has been no progress as far as translocation is concerned, the government has created a committee of experts for finding out the potential of transferring the lions from Gujarat to Madhya Pradesh. So here you should note it that the wildlife sanctuary that was suggested by the Supreme Court in the year 2013 was asked in the preliminary examination of 2017. So similarly, if you go through this list of sanctuaries which has been proposed by the Gujarat government as a part of Greater Gir for the conservation of lion, these also become important for us from preliminary examination point of view. Now after going through this article, you should try and answer this question from your preliminary examination point of view. And the answer for this question will be displayed after 5 seconds. So the correct answer here is D. That is, all these three sanctuaries have been proposed as a part of Greater Gir for the conservation of Asiatic lions. And with this, let us move on to the next article. Now this article on page number 5 is related to TB drugs. And this will form a part of the preliminary examination syllabus under the topic General Science. So the article reads that two tuberculosis survivors from India and South Africa have challenged a patent held by pharmaceutical giant Johnson & Johnson. And this patent has been challenged to prevent the firm from extending its monopoly on bedaquiline, one of the two latest drugs to combat the disease. So now here you should note that the tuberculosis is an infectious disease and is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis bacteria, that is MTB. Now regarding the treatment of tuberculosis, it requires use of multiple antibiotics over a long period of time. However, if the patient undergoes inadequate treatment or does not take the prescribed regimen appropriately or uses low quality medication, he develops drug resistance, which means that all these antibiotics, which are the first line of defense against the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, fail to treat the disease after the patient develops drug resistance. And this kind of TB is called as drug-resistant tuberculosis, which means that normal antibiotics do not help in curing the drug-resistant TB. However, these first-line antibiotics do not work for people who have developed drug resistance. Now, to cure this drug-resistant TB, two important names or drugs have been found. And the names of these drugs are bedaquiline and delamine. So what is important for us from preliminary examination point of view are the names of these two drugs. So you should remember the names of these drugs, and a very simple question can be asked in the preliminary examination. So this snippet of information is important for us from preliminary examination point of view. And with this, let us move on to the next article. This article on page number 11 is related to United States' proposal to end the Generalized System of Preference or GSP for India. So this will form a part of the preliminary examination syllabus under the topic Current Events of National and International Importance. Also, it will be a part of economic development because this will have an impact on Indian economy as well. So here you should note that India is the largest beneficiary of this scheme of United States, that is the Generalized System of Preference. Now under this Generalized System of Preference, India enjoys zero tariff on $5.6 billion of exports to United States. However, in turn, the United States has alleged that India has high tariffs imposed on import from the United States. And it is due to these high tariffs on the imports from the United States, the US is trying to withdraw the General System of Preference, under which India has been provided with zero tariffs for certain exports. So under this article, we will try to understand what is meant by Generalized System of Preferences, and also what is the relation of WTO with the Generalized System of Preference. Now this becomes important for us from preliminary examination point of view because in the year 2016, there was a question related to the amber box, blue box and green box subsidies. So the question asked, in the context of which of the following do you sometimes find the terms amber box, blue box and green box in the news? So it is related to WTO affairs. So you should note that such key terms that appear in the newspaper are important for us from preliminary examination point of view. So now let us understand what is meant by Generalized System of Preferences. So regarding GSP, you should note that the Generalized System of Preference is a US trade program and it started in the year 1976. Now this program is designed to promote economic growth in developing countries, and it aims to do so by providing duty-free entry for up to 4,800 products. And these products should be from 129 designated countries or beneficiary countries. So basically this means that under the GSP program, United States allows certain countries to export their products to United States with zero tariff imposed on them. Now what are the benefits of this GSP scheme? Now, this GSP scheme provides opportunity to the world's poorest or the developing countries. This is because these poor or developing countries can export to United States without any tariff being imposed on them. And this can in turn promote economic activity in their countries, and this will help them in growing their economies. However, this program is also beneficial for America itself. This is because it increases the competitiveness in the American market. This is because it reduces the costs of imported inputs which are used by the US companies to manufacture goods. So simply this program benefits the developing and the poorest countries by growing their economies, and it also helps in increasing the competitiveness in the American market. Now, after understanding the GSP and the benefits of GSP, let us understand what is the relation between WTO and the generalized system of preferences. Now, one of the important rules of WTO is that under their normal trade laws, the WTO members must give equal preferences to its trade partners. This means that there should not be any discrimination between the countries in terms of trade. And this trade rule under the WTO is called as the most favored nation clause. So simply this MFN clause states that there cannot be any discrimination between two countries in terms of their trade, which means that a country cannot impose discriminatory tariff barriers for trade with other countries. So this MFN clause strives for creating an equality in terms of trade between countries. However, this allows certain exceptions to this MFN clause. In this sense, the WTO allows its members to give special and differential treatment to developing or poor countries. Now, as this special and differential treatment can only be given to developing countries or poor countries, such a special or differential treatment cannot be given to developed countries. Now, for example, by providing zero tariff on imports, the US under its GSP is providing special treatment to the developing and the poor countries. So this generalized system of preference that is given by the United States to the developing countries is included as an exception to the MFN clause under the WTO rules. So this is an important point and should be kept in mind from your preliminary examination point of view. And with this, let us move on to the next article. Now, this infographic on page number 2 is related to the Honorable Prime Minister's visit to Arunachal Pradesh. And on this occasion, he has inaugurated several projects. Now, some of these projects can become important for us from preliminary examination point of view. The first in this line is the Holongi Airport. Another important project for us is the Sela Tunnel project. And thirdly, you should note that the PM has also inaugurated a Doordarshan channel by the name Arun Prabha. So now both these projects, that is the Holongi project and the Sela Tunnel project, will form a part of the preliminary examination syllabus under the topic Current Events of National Importance. So let us try to understand why is this Sela Tunnel important and some key facts related to this Sela Tunnel. Now, regarding the Sela Pass Tunnel, what is important for us from preliminary examination point of view is the location of this Sela Pass Tunnel or the Sela Pass. Now, if you look at this map, you will notice that the Sela Pass lies in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. And this Sela Pass Tunnel is being created between Bomdila and the Tawang district. So it will considerably reduce the distance between the West Kameng district and the Tawang district of the state of Arunachal Pradesh, which is adjacent to the Tibet of China. Further, it is located at an elevation of 13,700 feet. And that is why, from a strategic point of view, it is one of the important tunnels that is being built in the border state of Arunachal Pradesh. Now, the construction of this Sela Pass Tunnel will provide easy access for the Indian Armed Forces to the Chinese border. And further, this tunnel will provide all-weather access to the armed forces throughout the year. And it is also likely to boost tourism and economic activity in the region. So from prelims examination point of view, the location of Sela Pass Tunnel, that is, it is located in the state of Arunachal Pradesh, is important. And it is located between Tawang and Bomdila in the West Kameng district. So this means that it will reduce the distance between the Tawang and the West Kameng district of Arunachal Pradesh. And it is strategically very important for us because it lies very close to the Chinese border. So that is why this can be a potential question in the preliminary examination. Now, another important event in the Prime Minister's visit to Arunachal Pradesh was the inauguration of Holongi Airport. Now, this is a greenfield airport and is located in the Itanagar, that is capital of Arunachal Pradesh. Here you should note that already there are two airports in Arunachal Pradesh and they are located in the Teju district and at the Pasighat. So now there will be three airports in the Arunachal Pradesh. So both these informations are important for us from preliminary examination point of view. And with this, let us move on to the next article. Now, after going through our discussion, you should try these questions from your preliminary examination point of view. And the answer for these questions will be displayed after 5 seconds. So the correct answer for the question which is related to the tuberculosis is the options 1 and 2. So the correct option that comes out is B, that is 1 and 2 only. Now the second question is related to the generalized system of preferences. In this, the first statement reads that it is provided to the importers of developing countries. Now this statement is incorrect. This is because the GSP is provided to the exporters of the developing countries, and it is also provided to the importers of the developed countries. So in this line, this statement is incorrect because it reads it is provided to the importers of developing countries. The second statement reads it includes either removal or decrease in custom duties, which is correct. So the correct answer that comes out is B, that is 2 only. Now you should go through these two questions from your preliminary examination point of view. And the answer for these questions will be displayed after 5 seconds. So the correct answer for this question is Arunachal Pradesh. That is, Sela Pass is located in the state of Arunachal Pradesh, and the correct answer is C. Now this question is related to the Sungudi sarees, and there was an article in the Delhi Metro page of the Delhi edition. So all the 3 points that are related to the Sungudi sarees in this question are correct. That is, these sarees are produced in Madurai in Tamil Nadu. These are traditionally produced using tie and dye method by people from Saurashtra who migrated to Madurai. And further, it has got a GI tag or the geographical indicator tag. So the correct answer is D, that is 1, 2 and 3 are correct. With this, we have come to the end of today's discussion. Now let us move on to the question for the day.